Bobby Charlton, well done, Manchester United.
It's a Sheringham, and Solskjaer has won it! And it's saved it! United again!
Welcome to United Hour, your official Red Cafe podcast for all things Manchester United. I'm your host, Nick.
No, Nick, it's done like this. Hello, welcome to United Hour, your official redcafe.net podcast for all things Manchester United. I'm your host, Imran. That's how it's done.
Yeah, you see, Colm was not impressed by your intro skills last week.
That's one for Colm.
We're having an intro off.
That's one for Colm, that is. That up yours, Colm.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't actually going to record tonight. We were going to leave it, but we just couldn't leave this one since it was such a crazy night. Just still getting my head around what's actually gone on today. Obviously, if you've somehow managed to listen to this pod and don't know what's happened, we've smashed Southampton 9-0. Just me and Imran for this one, which will actually make, I think, who was it over on Red Cafe? My only Solskjaer had said he didn't believe that we were different people, because I think we've kind of been taking it in turns recently on hosting, haven't we? And so we've not done one together for a while. But back in the day, we'd done plenty of these, right? Back in Van Gaal days and stuff.
It's not that we're different people. It's not that we're not different people. It's that we hate each other. So this is very much a last resort podcast.
Definitely. I was just waiting for somebody else to step in and say they were ready to do it tonight, but there was nobody, so I had to step up. The squad was suffering today. But yeah, look, let's get on to the craziness of the match tonight. We did the last pod, and we were all actually relatively confident of going into this game, even though we'd obviously come off a bad week where we'd only got 1 point out of 2 matches. And not managed a goal against Arsenal. So yeah, there was a bit of low kind of worry about the game pre-match. But then I did actually get a friend, Southampton friend of mine, sent me a message pre-match saying you're going to absolutely spank us because we've got somebody who hasn't played for 2 years at right back. There's a debutant in midfield. Ings is off form. Ward-Prowse is knackered. And I was like, oh, are you sure? Your team doesn't look that bad. Yeah, there's a couple of names I don't recognise. He was like, no, we're going to be awful today. But I'm pretty sure he wasn't anywhere near prepared for just how awful it was going to be. I mean, you're never confident pre-match. So how were you feeling before this one?
I thought it might be a draw. I don't know. I just because of our Old Trafford record not being great.
And in general, they've been very good this season, although they have come off in the last couple of weeks.
That's what I thought they do a result. And like everyone was saying, like how Sheffield United had so many players missing. I was like, when players are missing for another team, that somehow galvanises them to do well against us. Obviously, all that went out the window after 90 seconds. I was like, well, we'll win this comfortably.
Well, it was literally 70 seconds.
Yeah.
So yeah, young Swiss player, and apparently as well, like I said, I've been getting all the Southampton inside information. He was telling me that this guy's agent has been complaining about the lack of minutes he's had. He's only signed in the summer, and I think he came on the other day for a few minutes, and this was the first time he had his debut. But yeah, he's not going to be complaining much anymore after this one. I mean, you don't think there's any malice in it, but it was just such a horrible tackle. It was just one of these that the guy was obviously so ramped up for his debut and he's just messed it up completely. But I mean, there was no doubts about it. You could see the gashes and scratches down McTominay's leg, and it was almost like you were a bit worried at first whether it was going to be worse than it actually was.
I mean, you could Hasenhüttl's reaction just from the tackle. You could tell he knew straight away that's a red, and I think everyone knew it was a red. I don't want to say I felt sorry for the guy because it was just an awful tackle, stupid tackle. But it's not like he went out to do him. Like you said, he's just a young guy, properly hyped up, and that's the sort of thing that can happen, I guess. Luckily for us,
imagine making your debut at Old Trafford. It's just
Luckily for us, McTominay was fine as well. I think that made me feel a lot better about it. It could have been really bad for Scott if he had his leg planted or he caught him full on or anything, kind of scraped down the inside of his thigh. But yeah, just a dreadful tackle. One of those where it's red all day, no one's complaining. Red back in the day, red in any day, really. So, yeah.
Definitely. It was just no doubts about this one at all. And, funnily enough, there'd been a bit of controversy about 2 players being sent off in the Arsenal game earlier in the day, Luiz and Leno. And then, I think somebody had thrown up the thing saying, when's the last time there's been 2 matches in one night with 2 teams going down to 9 players? But yeah, look, there's so much to go through. I even have to try and remember myself all the different things. But yeah, straight away we're on the front foot. And I saw a few messages going round in the kind of, we've got the match day Discord now saying, get one of the defensive midfielders off, get Pogba on or Van der Beek. We need to just go for this straight away. And I kind of understood that, but I said, look, at the same time, there's no need to.
No.
I'm sure we're going to get into this sooner or later. And it was like, I think 18-minute mark that the first one comes in, but from a totally unexpected place, basically. I mean, we've chatted a lot about Aaron Wan-Bissaka and everybody has their opinions, and I'm the one who actually is normally defending him a fair bit. But today he decided he was like prime Dani Alves or something. Yeah,
I think if you've been marked by Danny Ings, I think that gives you the impetus to become prime Dani Alves, I think. But fair play to him. He took up the opportunity with both arms and then went all out attack for us, and had a really good game, really good run into the box for his goal. I'd say it was a good finish. It wasn't really. He was trying to aim for, I think, for the open near post, and then just completely got it on the inside of his foot, and it went into the far post. But hey, it went in at the end of the day, all count, and he'll be happy with that. Second goal of the season, incredibly. So
and the weird stat that went out at that point was that now puts him on the same amount of league goals as Anthony Martial.
That's what spurred Tony on, probably.
Yeah, exactly. That changed by the end of this game. But one of those crazy stats. And a lovely assist from Luke Shaw, who's also like I say, he's decided he's prime Roberto Carlos or something.
Well, fullback to fullback, wasn't it?
Yeah, fullback to fullback. I think we had this little chat in the group again. As when was the last time you can remember us having a goal set up by a fullback and scored by the fullback? And what did they come up with? It was Valencia to Evra in the Champions League.
I can't remember. Oh, against Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I think that's what he threw out. It was one of the lads in the Discord group, Rob, had thrown that out, and I said, "All right, that's good knowledge."
Well, if that's wrong, you can at-rob everybody.
No, I think it was a really good call. But look, at that point, it's still just one. We're one up, and we were playing well as well. We weren't just sitting around or whatever. At that point, Southampton, I guess, you don't know what to do. That it's just everything goes out the window, doesn't it? That you're down to 10 men after that many minutes, and then.
I think the earliness of the red card really set. I think if you go down to 10 men after 20 minutes or something, then maybe your team might not get as dejected. But I think if you go down to 10 men in the first 90 seconds, I think it's hard to come back from that. Whatever, the mentality of your team it's really difficult to overcome that sort of thing, especially if you're away at a big side. It's just I kind of felt sorry for Southampton just because. I mean, what the situation they were in, but I mean, fair play to us. We took that opportunity to really lay into them. It's hard to know how much to take out of that performance against 10 men and then 9 men. But from what we saw, I mean, you can only say well done, United, really.
Yeah, like you say, you can't get too excited about it. But at the same time, team goes down to 10 men, they just start defending. It's been a thing that's brought up about us that, we struggle to break down teams, with a low block. But today, obviously, it wasn't a struggle. And especially when I think, it is just difficult to get that first goal. And as soon as that comes and the other team can't just sit around, then, after that, it's just how many are you going to get? And like I said, my Southampton mate had already expected the worst. He said it's going to be 5 or 6. And I was like, he's just saying it to expect the worst. And then he'll be pleasantly surprised when we only win by the odd goal or something. But in the end, he would have taken 5 or 6-0, I guess.
It's hard to know what to do with your Southampton, though. Do you go just... Should they eventually they put 3 centre-backs on? Should they have done that earlier? But then you have to make a substitution, so it's difficult for them.
Totally. It's just, for the manager, it's just difficult. And then, it's great to see Rashford back in what I say is his natural position on the left-hand side. We had a bit of a chat about this on the last pod, and some people have been getting at Rashford. He's been getting a bit of stick on Twitter. Then, of course, there was this whole kind of racism rubbish being thrown out there, which is just, in this day and age, totally mental. But I thought Rashford dealt with it absolutely perfectly, putting out the perfect messages as well. And I don't know if you saw, actually, he put out one where he said, I'm not going to screenshot any of the stuff that's been sent to me because I just don't want the people who follow me or, children of different colours to see any of this stuff. And I think that's absolutely the perfect way to deal with it. Don't give these kind of racist trolls the airtime because that's what they want. They want that. The kind of, half the time the publicity and stuff. So, just blank them out and, show them on the pitch. what needs to be done, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, he got his goal, and then quickly as well. He actually, the second goal, although it's an own goal, was actually from his cross.
I thought that was the third goal.
Third goal.
Hang
That's
on,
it.
you've missed the goal. This is where it gets confusing.
Well, the second goal is Rashford. It's Greenwood to Rashford.
Yes, Greenwood to Rashford. Yeah, that was a very, very nice goal. Again, Luke Shaw with a driving run. He is now operating as the best left back in the country. Certainly up there with Robertson. I put him ahead of Chilwell now. Like, he is just operating at a different level to what he's been operating at over the last few years. Shoo-in for England for me at the Euros. If he's not starting for England, then I don't know what's Gareth Southgate's smoking. I'm quite very much into my England, so I really hope that Shaw makes that left back spot his own for the Euros.
Well, and look, it's only going to be about him keeping fit, isn't it? That's always the worry.
But he's been fit a while now. Like I think you said, is this the longest he's gone without getting injured? And it might well be, especially carrying this level of fitness that he is as well.
No, look, I don't remember him staying this fit for this long time, and it might even be ever while he's been with us. It's not to forget he is actually a Southampton boy and came from there originally. But yeah, he's been outstanding, and that's one of the reasons I guess he got one of the players rested at half time. But anyway, before we get to half time, as I said, there was that third goal comes in off Bednarek, and then again it's a Luke Shaw assist to Edison Cavani, who we'd given a bit of stick to last match for not putting one away. Those were the two players, Cavani and Rashford, who got a bit of pelters after that Arsenal match, who both really should have done better with chances they had. But yeah, they've both come in and popped up with the goals to make the difference straight away today.
Yeah, I think they were our two best players in the second half, Shaw and Cavani, I thought. So probably deserved their rest that they got. Cavani was just all over the place at centre forward, doing really nice touches, holding it up well, laying it off well, getting involved in play. I thought he had a really good half.
Definitely, and he's hardly actually played that many games for us yet. Even though it's been halfway through the season, the start of the season was a write-off from him, and now he is getting in there, and he has become first choice just because Martial's been so much out of form. But again, that's why Martial is thrown in to try and get him some form. And yeah, I think all of these were good moves from Ole at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The other player I thought needed, pre-match, you've got Pogba starts on the bench. Again, some people were moaning about that online, but I just thought it was rotation and it made sense. He'd played a lot of games recently, and the only other player as well that I thought might get a rest is Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Those were the two, because Ole has done pretty well recently. That he'd given Bruno one match off, he'd given Rashford one match off. We know that Maguire never gets a match off. He's just resigned to he's never being rotated. But yeah, Pogba got his rest. That didn't need to come on, so gets a whole week off. And yeah, we shouldn't forget, big game on the weekend against Everton. And then yeah, half time, I really did want to see Van der Beek. I wasn't expecting Martial to come in, but you just make the call, I guess, on which couple of players need a rest. But I did think that was the right thing to do at 4-0. Take a couple of players out.
Before half time, there was the penalty incident, the penalty non-penalty incident as well, which started the wonderful VAR night that tonight was. It's crazy to come off a 9-0 victory with VAR being such a talking point. And I think a lot of people might be annoyed at how much VAR is a talking point after this game, but I kind of see it, to be honest with you, because we'll get to it later on, but VAR actually did slightly ruin my enjoyment of this game. Slightly. I'm still buzzing that we won 9-0, don't get me wrong, but it did take away from it a little bit, and we'll get to that with the various decisions coming up. But this was the start of it for me. I do not see how this isn't a penalty. Cavani's foot, definitely on the line. The contact, you can't zoom in. The referee's given the penalty, right? So there has to be clear and obvious evidence that it isn't a penalty. And the contact on the foot, there's no way you can zoom in that far and see if it's not on the line or not. But even then, there's still contact carrying on into the box. Now, I checked the rules, and it doesn't say anything about fouls, but it does say when you're holding a player, if the hold continues into the box, it's a penalty. So what does that not apply to fouls? Is it just the initial point of contact, that millisecond? Because that doesn't make any sense. A foul can continue. And he clearly is impeding all the way into the box. I just don't see how that's not a penalty.
No, yeah, for me, and on the telly as well, like they have the replays and they were showing, they said, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to give the penalty. But it happens all the time now. That's it. That even them sat at home are watching the VAR, not at home in the studio, and they just can't understand the decisions again and again. I mean, we had a slight disagreement about those Sheffield United decisions, which to me, not enough was made of at the time. And I just said both are absolutely ridiculous. And as far as I'm concerned, we should have been one up at half time.
Doesn't make sense.
Not one down. Yeah. Well, that's all about, butterfly effects and timelines and whatever, these crazy physics and science and whatever. But anyway, for me, it's that simple. Two decisions went the wrong way. We went in one down. We should have been one up. But anyway, it's water under the bridge now. But yeah, look, I've been a massive critic of VAR since day one. I think the English Premier League have made the biggest mess of it. It doesn't seem to be as bad in other countries from what I've seen. And just week by week, it's almost just getting worse and worse. I just, like last season, we complained about it, but said, it's the first season. Maybe they'll get better. But if anything, I don't know, it seems to actually be getting worse.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we might as well talk about all the VAR. Let's lump all the VAR in now, including our penalty as well. We did eventually get, but before that, Southampton had their only goal disallowed for arbitrary lines. Where's a t-shirt line? It doesn't make sense to me, really.
Yeah, I hate that stuff when they start talking about millimeters and his hand there, is his knee there. I mean, it just ruins it for me completely. Worth pointing out for that Fred ends up as left back, doesn't he? Which is a bit of a random one, and was mostly to blame for that goal happening. But I don't know when he's played left. I think he did have some brief minutes for us at full back in some game. I can remember, like towards the end of a match. But yeah, it was a bit of a random decision from Ole, but I guess at that point he's just seeing who's going where. But yeah, Fred's at left back, gets done by...
quick free kick, wasn't it?
Yeah. But then, he ends up in the box.
Che Adams.
A bit like Sheffield United, where he has one go at it and then Fred's kind of ends up on the ground, has another go at it. He actually has a nice finish. But yeah, it's chalked off. I mean, I guess they won't be that bothered because it's not obviously made any kind of difference to the result. I'm sure there'll be fantasy football managers everywhere with Manchester United defenders who are ecstatic. I haven't got any, so it didn't make any difference to me. But yeah,
hey,
a couple of points in the
so
midfield.
It makes a difference to me.
All right.
But I mean, it's just, for Southampton, they had that one disallowed at the last minute against Aston Villa, and that was even worse than this one, if you see that one, where Danny Ings' t-shirt line is, I don't know where, halfway down his arm or whatever crap they come up with. Just these they're using it to enforce a rule that was never made for this purpose of such tight offsides, and they're using a t-shirt line, which is an arbitrary thing. Like, I could think your t-shirt line is different from where you could think a t-shirt line. It's just nonsense. But anyway, it went for us that time, I guess, but didn't really need to 4-1. What's the difference?
Well, that's the other thing. You kind of don't particularly want them to go in this kind of match. You want it to go.
Yeah, exactly. That's how, I always think that as well. I think I don't want to use that now. I want to use that later. I want to use that special power later.
Yeah, it's like a video game. You've got a couple of lives to use when you want. You're like, no, we've wasted them now in this game. But yeah, look, that's the way it runs. And then I think we had this kind of 15-minute of just playing it around, not doing too much. The only kind of slight bit of note is Donny van der Beek gets some rare minutes. I don't know what your general opinion of him is. There's a lot of talk about why isn't he getting minutes. I've chatted about it before and said, to me, it's not that big a deal, and he will eventually. But yeah, how do you see him as a player?
I think he's neat, he's tidy. I don't think he's not very exciting. But to me, I'm not convinced that this attacking midfield is his best position. He doesn't seem to have that. It's more like he would be the highest point in a flat three as opposed to the Bruno number 10 to me. So for me, he's more suited to be a central midfielder just from his attributes. Not that I saw a great deal of him at Ajax, but he's comfortable on the ball, good technique, finds a good pass, but he's not the most adventurous in his play. Maybe that'll come, but to me, that's where he should be playing, really, a bit deeper. But then I guess it's his defensive.
And he often does. The last few times I think he's played, he has been more like number 8 rather than number 10.
But that's where we've got all our players, isn't it? We're just stacked in the two central midfield places, I guess.
Exactly, and that's why, he's struggled for minutes. But in other seasons we've had several injuries, and all of a sudden he's playing every week.
Yeah.
It just so happens that this year we've been pretty lucky with injuries in the midfield. But there's still plenty of time for us to have an injury crisis this season. Yet we normally have one at some point every year.
I guess people are just waiting for him to stamp his authority on games. He hasn't really grabbed a game or anything. It's very neat and tidy, but nothing to show he's all over a game really in the way that, say, Bruno is, or even like Scott McTominay is sometimes.
I think he is adapting to Ole's way, because he comes from the Ajax academy where it's all about possession, and that is not Ole's game at all. So it's going to take him a little bit time to just understand how Ole wants him to play. But like you say, he's got the skills. He's a really good all-rounder midfield, and that's why, when we do get any injuries, he can fill in here and there. There had been a bit of talk, it might have even been you, saying, why don't we give him a go? Kind of more like right wing, but
I'm not taking credit for that one.
Wide right, and I mean, I'm personally not sure if it's the right thing, but I almost say at some points, why not give him a go?
I don't think it's the right thing, because I think it was against Liverpool. He had all the time and space in the world on the right wing, and he turned back and played it in central midfielder. So that's all I needed to see him at right wing.
Well, you'd kind of see him playing in a similar maybe way that Juan Mata might have done for a couple of years, something like that. He's obviously never going to be a winger, but it's more that kind of style of play that we might get. But anyway, I mean, it actually took until Rashford then goes out, Daniel James comes in around the 60th minute. And I'd actually gone off because I'd bought in Marcus Rashford in my fantasy. That's some other guy, yeah. Marcus Rashford in my fantasy team this week. And I was looking at the clock going, is Ole taking him off at 59 minutes? That's going to be like 2 points I've missed out there. But it actually ended up being the 60-minute mark. So, I was safe with those vital 2 points that could make all the difference. I think, only of me.
Sorry, I think the start of the second half kind of made sense from the point that Southampton have gone in 4-0, that have said, like, right, no more. The priority now is no more goals, keep it tight. But then they'll just get tired, and then as they get tired, that's when we'll get the spaces, they'll make the mistakes, and we'll score the goals. So we were a bit slower in our approach, I guess, and they were far more compact, which is probably just why not really much happened. It kind of makes sense, though.
It makes sense, and obviously they've been told at half-time, what else can the manager say apart from just try and keep it at 4? I mean, there's nothing else you can really do at that point, can you? But as I said, it took till Dan James comes in at around the 60th minute mark, obviously maybe pushing them a little bit more. And at that point, it's like 4-0, and the commentators started talking about how, it was all the way back to March 2012 since United have won by 5 goals. And then, 70th minute mark, Martial gets on the score sheet. Again, there was a bit of like VAR stuff about offside as it touched his hand. But I thought it was actually a nice finish. He's been so way off form. Obviously, I sold him from my fantasy team last week. So and he's got 2 goals and I think even an assist tonight. But I'm not too worried about that. And if he can get into some kind of form, we are going to need him in the running. How can you explain how bad he's been this season? I've been at a loss to explain it. That's it. Some people have tried to throw out about, he's not happy about competition when Cavani comes in, but I find that a bit of a bizarre kind of excuse, to be honest, and especially since he was first choice for months and months, and Ole gave him so many chances, chance after chance, and so did I. Like I said, he's been in my fantasy team for months because I kept thinking he's surely going to score, but he hasn't, and comes on and gets a couple today. Again, you can't imagine that means that he's all of a sudden going to be in top form because it was Southampton with 9 and 10 men, but it's at least good for the confidence for him to start getting something in the back of the net.
I mean, you'd hope it does the confidence well, but that first goal was just not a goal I would expect this Martial to score, like this current Martial that we've been seeing over the last few weeks to score at all, because it involved all the things he hasn't been doing. It involved great movement, a really well timed run, great strength to hold off the defender, and like a first time bang finish that's just unstoppable. Like, these are the things that he hasn't been in his game at all, so it kind of really came out of nowhere for me. I was quite shocked by it, to be honest with you, but it was a great goal. Probably my favourite goal of the night, actually, just for the skill he showed and the composure he showed in finishing it. A really good goal, and you just hope he kicks on now.
That's it, because I just still remember last season how he was playing okay, but racking up the goals. We always said he was our best finisher, and it's just totally eluded him this season for some reason. So you just hope he can click back in somewhere along the way. And then, a couple of minutes later, Scott McTominay gets one from there, and then Southampton pretty much give up at that point because 6-0, and there's still another 20 minutes left. We're then thinking about, you look back at that kind of Tottenham smashing and saying, this is the time we can actually make back that goal difference, on Manchester City or whoever's ahead of us. These are the kind of days where the goal difference can actually get racked in. And then they start talking at this point on the commentary as well about how obviously Southampton got beat 9-0 off Leicester last year. He's still not expecting it to go to that point. But at the end of the day, it does for them. It's pretty crazy to 2 9-0 losses 2 seasons in a row. Of course, there was more kind of reason for it today with them being 10 men for nearly the whole match.
It was a great goal from Scott McTominay as well. Really good finish. He's got a good shot on him actually, Scott. It reminded me of the shot he had against Arsenal, but obviously that one went into the roof of the net. But this one, really, I like a shot that stays low but doesn't touch the floor. I always think they look really nice. But
they're the perfect kind of shots, and I agree with you actually. Again, he's a player that's often getting pelters and people saying he's not good enough and not creative enough, but he's not there for creativity. He's a good hard-working midfielder, and I totally agree with you that his shot is actually underrated. I'd actually say that I've said a couple of times that Scott McTominay's shooting is better than Paul Pogba's.
I thought you were going to say better than Fred's, and I was like, well, there's no argument here.
No, well, Fred and Matic, you don't expect any goals from. If they manage to get one in a season, you're happy.
Hey, Matic can smack a ball hard though.
He can. He scored absolute worldies, and remember, what was it, last minute against Crystal Palace or something like that? He can, but you don't expect him in a season. He might get 1 or 2, and Fred as well. You don't expect much from him. But McTominay often pops up with top goals. You remember he got that one right at the end of the match against Man City, which was our last game where we had fans in the stadium.
Yep.
And which is crazily, we're nearly coming up to a year without fans in the stadium. Which is just mental to think about.
And for that game, I said, we had obviously my season ticket, but someone else wanted to go. I said, it's all right, you can go to this one. I'll go to the next one. Yeah, that never happened, did it?
Oh, shit. So you didn't go to that Derby game?
I didn't go to that Derby game. It was like someone really wanted to go in my... So I said, okay, fine. I think I was a bit ill at the time anyway, so I said, fine, I'll go to the next one. Never happened. Gutted.
Still waiting for the next one.
Still waiting.
I think I've probably mentioned about 20 times on the podcast that I was at that game because I still remember it as the last match I went to, and I'm also 90% sure I caught COVID that day because I was pretty ill the week after, and it's not that surprising seeing as 75,000 people were mixing. But anyway, like I say, just mental to think that it was nearly a year ago. And then, look, after that, we get the Bednarek red card, which again is a whole kind of controversy. For me, it is a penalty. I can't even believe this. Some people were claiming it's not a penalty.
If that was the other way around, would you think that's a penalty?
Yeah.
Really?
Of course it is. Of course it's a penalty because he's passed him and he's
But Martial's he's literally already diving before there's any contact. Martial's already going to hit the floor. The contact is so slight, and we've seen already, and we've had a couple of decisions go our way for this, that just minimal contact does not equal foul because there is contact allowed, and that slight of contact when Martial's already going down, to me, never a penalty. I think that's a textbook dive from Martial.
I'm not sure if it was already going down.
He's already watch it again. He's already.
I do actually, to be honest, like I said, we've got on this straight after the game, and there were so many things that have happened. I have not actually managed to watch them all back.
His touch is too heavy. And as soon as his touch is too heavy, he's like, I'm going down here. And he's
the
already
thing is that
falling.
Nowadays, all these rules have changed. And the problem is nowadays, nobody even knows what the rules are. And it kind of has become that if there's contact, it's foul. It didn't used to be like that. They used to talk about intent. They used to talk about, did he go for the ball? These are questions that they used to talk about and the referee used to have to think about. Nowadays, they've taken all that out of it, and it's just if he doesn't get the ball and he's contacts with the player, it's a foul. That's pretty much what it is nowadays, right?
Which, well, is it though? Because look at it this way as well. If the referee hadn't given that penalty, there's no way VAR would have overturned it because of this clear and obvious bullshit thing. To me, it should be, is it a penalty, yes or no? Like, that's how it should be judged. And to me, it's definitely not a penalty. And I think the red card, I can see the idea is that he's not attempted to play the ball, thus it's definitely a red. But he's trying to get out of the way, is Bednarek. He's not even trying to foul Martial there. And it just seems
to be honest,
super
it wasn't.
harsh.
It was actually similar in a lot. I don't know if you saw the Arsenal game.
I've only seen Leno's red card, which was hilarious.
So Luiz's was a bit like this. That it's kind of just a tangling of legs. He's not like taking him out, but the guy is past him, and the guy is going to be through on goal. So it's a red card and a penalty.
It just seems super harsh, especially when it's just you're trying to get out of the way. If that was, when it comes to these kind of things, I always think, what if that was the other way around? And I know for a fact if that was the other way around, I would be furious. I'd be livid.
I need to watch it again because I did not think that Martial was diving. I just thought, yeah, he was kind of trying to go through, and I still think he was going to get a shot off without him getting that touch from behind.
Hey, I don't blame Martial for diving, by the way, because referees basically encourage diving these days. You have to dive if you want to get anything in life. So that's just the way football is nowadays. If you don't dive, you don't get anything. So I don't necessarily blame him for diving. I just think it's just a poor decision, especially when you can see it on the VAR. But we got it. It did slightly sour the rest of the game for me. Again, only slightly. Still nice to see us bang goals in, but you could tell it absolutely ruined Southampton after that. They were basically playing just wounded, knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, there was only 5 minutes left after that anyway.
Yeah.
But 5 minutes was enough for us to get another 3 goals.
Including the penalty, but 2 goals, yeah.
Including the pen. And, Bruno had been relatively quiet until this point, although actually he did get the assist from Martial's first goal.
He did, yeah.
And then, manages to get his penalty. Martial then gets his second of the night, which is going to do wonders for him. And then, one more assist, and Dan James getting a rare few minutes and I say a rare goal, but he did actually score against Leeds United, didn't he, around Christmas time? Here's
one, just quickly for your fantasy as well. Bednarek, -7 points. I don't think I've ever seen -7 points.
Well, there's somebody in my league who said he's got him on the bench, his first sub on his bench, so he's waiting to see if everybody plays or not.
I mean, that is some night for him. Own goal, red card penalty, conceding. Well, he conceded 6, I guess. But yeah, that is not a day you want to remember.
No, well, yeah, and the same with the guy Jankovic debuting off after 2 minutes. It always comes into mind, there was that Jonathan Woodgate debut when he went and played for Real Madrid and scored an own goal and got sent off in his debut for Real Madrid. That was always a question in how the hell did Jonathan Woodgate end up playing for Real Madrid, but he went downhill pretty quickly.
I would say if I was that Jankovic lad, I'd be saying, hey, I didn't get beat 9-0, lads. That's on you. I didn't get beat 9-0.
Yeah. Not taking any blame for any of these goals. But yeah, look, now obviously you go back and I know you've obviously been a season ticket for a long, long time. But yeah, were you there 26 years ago when we beat Ipswich Town 9-0?
I wasn't. I got my season ticket in 1996, so this was just a little bit before me. I specifically remember following it on teletext and being astonished at every single goal going in. And plus, at the time, so this would have been like 9 years old. I loved Andy Cole. He was my favourite player, and I just thought it was amazing that he scored 5 goals. So I remember it. I remember the game well. I just wasn't there, unfortunately. And it was in the time you couldn't. Obviously, I think it was a 3:00 Saturday game, so you couldn't even watch it. But yeah.
Oh yeah, well that'd be good, mate. You could well have been. I mean, I was there. I do remember it. March 1995, like you say. Andy Cole scores 5. And who else was on the score sheet?
Ince got 2 and Hughes, which I did know. Me and Nick talked about this just to let you in behind the curtain. We brought this up before the podcast, saying maybe we should talk about the game. And I nailed Ince and Hughes as the 2 other scorers.
It did. You were close to all 9 scorers. You only had Giggs in instead of Keane.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a pretty good shout over there. But yeah, I remember being in the stadium and actually remember the Ipswich Town fans being quite good sports about it, because I think by the time we got to about 6 or 7 we were already singing "We Want 10," and they were singing "We Want One," and to just at that point, I guess all you can do is laugh. But yeah, that was a pretty crazy day back then.
I know a couple of people are, I say upset, probably air quotes, upset about the fact that there was only 3 minutes injury time in this game, which is nonsense, considering how two long VAR calls on there, offside and the penalty. I don't know how they've even reached the idea that it was 3 minutes. It was at least 6. So I think that people are upset that we didn't get that extra time to go get that 10th goal. But I mean, whatever.
I mean, it's just putting them out of their misery, really. Isn't
yeah, I would have. I felt quite sorry for them if they conceded 10. But yeah.
Yeah, look, like I said, that could have been our record, I guess. That's the only thing we can moan about.
Would have been the Premier League record, 10-0. Because football only started in 1992, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. It does equal our record. And yeah, there was other random ones like, they came up with that Rashford now surpassed Eric Cantona in goals for Man United. But did you see that the commentator, I think it was Darren Fletcher, made this comment saying, "Oh, Rashford surpassed Eric Cantona. I'm sure he was a big fan of his when he was younger." And then I saw that somebody on Twitter pointed out that Eric Cantona retired 5 months before Marcus Rashford was born.
Well, that makes me feel old. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, well, I'm a fair bit older than you, so we're okay there. But yeah, look, like I say, a crazy day. And as I said, my Southampton mate was expecting the worst right from the word go. But I would just rewind, but this felt even better for me because I rewind back to November when, all people were saying that Ole was 2 games from the sack. And at that time, Southampton were top of the league. And he was going on about Ole all the time that I can't believe he's still the manager, he's going. And I would obviously, whenever somebody comes out with this kind of stuff, I say, all right, let's put your money where your mouth is. And he's put on 20 quid with me in November that Southampton were going to finish above Man United. So yeah, I was obviously feeling pretty good. I was reminding him about that bet today. Although I felt a bit bad doing it at like 6-0. I said, I might give him a couple of days, kicking a man while he's down. But anyway, that's what you get for giving the pelters back in November. But yeah, look, crazy times. But yeah, it has been a totally crazy season, hasn't it?
Yeah,
we look back at some of the results, like when Villa spanked Liverpool, we've done this. When we got hit off Tottenham, and they say, I think, 9 different teams have been top of the league this year, which is like the most ever.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of big scores as well. Like you said, didn't Liverpool beat Palace by a lot, and didn't City score 7 the other day or something? I don't know. Against who were they 4-0 up against? West Brom. Yeah. So I just think a lot of big scores. I think tiredness sets in quite quickly, especially if you're losing by a lot of goals. I'd say it's just a weird one, isn't it?
It really is, but yeah, as I say, it does great for our goal difference, especially. It does take us back joint top with City, although they do have 2 games in hand.
Yeah, I mean, our goal difference is
on the last pod about
joint with Liverpool now is our goal difference and second highest in the league, so it has done a world of good for our goal difference.
Yeah, because we're now both on 19. City are out at 24, so they are still actually 5 goals ahead on goal difference. But yeah, look, the main thing was getting the 3 points, especially after those last 2 results, because then people start questioning, are we really in the title race? Where are you on that? Do you think we are in the title race?
I mean, my on the pod, my reaction after the Sheffield United game was to just dismiss it completely. I think that was on a combination of that shock result and just City looking a bit ominous. I think if City go and they're playing Liverpool, aren't they? City.
Yeah,
I think
they've actually got a couple of difficult games. Maybe Tottenham as well. I think.
They're playing Burnley away this week, and then I think they've got Liverpool after that.
Liverpool on the weekend.
So I think if they, I don't know, I feel like we would be, but I feel City are just gonna run away with it a bit. I think. But
I'm just saying that being in the race. I'm talking about being up there. I don't think we're going to win the league, but a lot of people are still saying that. We're still not sure to be top 4, and we're still fighting.
Oh no, this. I think we should be comfortably top 4 now. It's more that I just think when City go on their title tilts, the last 2 times City have won the league, they've barely dropped any points in the second half of the season. So I think if they're doing that again this season, then it just could be hard to keep pace with them, to keep it as a title challenge. But it is a weird season, so who knows? I'm not gearing myself up to expect a title challenge because I don't want to be disappointed. So I'm just gonna.
Yeah. You're
to.
always a glass half empty
Well,
kind of person.
if you don't expect
The
anything, you can't
worst
be
and
disappointed, can you?
yeah. You've always been expect the worst and then like everything's a bonus. For me, the thing I would really like is that we're playing City in middle of March, and I would just like that we can be in that game and just be within 3-4 points of them. That it actually does have like something riding on it.
Yeah.
I did actually hear Andy Cole on the radio the other day, and he said under Fergie we never ever talked about winning the league until Easter. He said it was never mentioned until Easter, and then there used to be some kind of talk about it. So we're way off. Obviously, that we're still kind of a good 2, nearly 3 months, I guess.
It's weird though. I think because of the last 2 title races, basically, you've had to have perfect runs to win it on. Well, didn't last year, but Liverpool pretty much did have a perfect run to win it. And the season before that, City and Liverpool basically had to win every single game to stay within each other, and then City won it. So I think you've kind of got that in your back of your mind as well. But they are not normal title runs, really, are they? That's not really how titles have ever been won before those seasons. So yeah.
Yeah, look, things are different now. It is definitely a bizarre year. But yeah, as I said, I've said all along, I'm just happy to be up there. For me, even if we came second, third, as long as we're kind of staying up there, I think it's a decent season and just gives us a bit of stability that we haven't had for a long, long time. I keep mentioning that stat that we haven't finished in the top 4 2 years in a row since Fergie retired. And that's why, for me, I'm always focused on just trying to get that league stability back. Again, we go into this kind of funny run that we had. We talked about this about a month ago when we were going into a run of games that was going to be Liverpool, Fulham, then Liverpool in the Cup. And it was about where do we rest players? Do we go all in on the Cup? So again, we've got this same kind of run coming up because Everton we've got on the weekend. Then it's the Cup against West Ham midweek. Then after that, it's West Brom. And then we start the Europa League kicks off again. Real Sociedad, if people have forgotten, kicks off just middle of February. So there's a lot of decisions to make about where are people rested, who goes strong where, and my opinion has been all the way through that we should just be absolutely focusing on the league. It's not that I would throw away the FA Cup, but I would definitely be the games I would be rotating. And for me, the Europa League, if we're looking comfortable around the top 4, we should just write it off completely.
Yeah, I think, well, Europa Leagues, I can imagine Ollie will go fairly weak, not weak, but like rest a few players for those games. And then if we get far, then maybe start taking it seriously. I think that's probably the best way to approach that competition. FA Cup, again, probably like half team changes. It just depends how we go. I mean, you could almost write off tonight as a bit of a rest, really. I think when you're playing football like that and you're scoring goals for fun and you're playing against 10, then 9 men, it's not really an energy sapping game. This is what I hear from being a professional footballer and everything that I am. But no, like you generally players will tell you like when they're up at that by that much, like the energy flows through you, it's not really tiring. So I think it's obviously not a full rest, but it's a bit of a rest. And plus, like we had Rashford and Cavani got minutes off, Shaw got minutes off. Bruno spent a lot of the second half just literally walking around 20 yards from goal. So, it's a good preparation for this weekend.
Yeah, and as I say, I think the only one who does need a rest and didn't get one today is Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
But we haven't got a right back, really, have we?
Well, that is the issue. I mean, I always put out what I think the team should be. And today I thought Wan-Bissaka should get a rest. And I'd said, let's play Axel Tuanzebe at right back. And in the end, he's not even in the matchday squad. No. He wasn't even on the bench. He's brought Williams back into the fold, who, was actually linked with Southampton a fair bit. I think they wanted him on loan, but Ole's not let him go, which I actually thought was a slightly strange decision because he's literally not played the whole season. I think he played that one FA Cup game against Watford and maybe a few minutes somewhere else, but he's barely featured the whole year. And so I kind of thought, these players, they can go backwards if they don't get that game time. And we have seen a lot of players go on loan. The transfer window is now closed. And obviously Lingard's gone out to West Ham, but going down at the kind of younger players, there was a couple who switched around who hadn't had that success on loans. Chong's gone from Germany now to Belgium. We sent that Palestri's gone out to Spain. He's playing for Alaves. Who else was there? Garner has moved from Watford to Nottingham Forest. And then Mengi's gone to join Wayne Rooney over at Derby. I guess, maybe we have got a ton of players out on loan, and Williams can still get the games here and there. Maybe Ole's got an eye on that Europa League for giving him a game. Diallo keeps getting mentioned again. When's he going to get a match? And we'll see from then. He has actually been kind of the biggest transfer off this window, even though people remember it from summer. But we had a bit of a debate about this as well, about how, for me, I was like, kept being really annoyed at how Sky Sports and TalkSport, who I always think of really like the sensationalist media, were announcing Diallo as a 40 million euro transfer. Whereas, like, what annoys me is that it's only like 20 million euro, and then there's 20 million that are like based on all sorts of things. We don't know what exactly, but you assume appearances, goals, I don't know what. But I think you were saying, technically that's correct. But I like to keep it the actual fact of how much money have we paid out for these players, because we might never pay that amount.
We might not, but I mean, you'd imagine like at least half of them will be like based on normal things. I just don't care. I file it under things that I don't care about, like things that commentators and pundits say about United, and I just don't care. I couldn't give a shit.
That's actually probably a better way to be going about it. Like I say, these things really annoy me because I just hate how the media just throw around random numbers, and there's always numbers as well about what people's wages are.
Well, Man United people are always going to do this about us. Like, it just comes with the territory.
It's not just us either. It's all like, I remember like in the days where we had like Alexis Sanchez, and every week his wages went up like 100 grand. He started off at like 300, and by the time he'd left, we were paying him like £1 million a week or something like that. But I guess it's just the way the media goes.
That's just the media.
But I always say, look at BBC. They had written it out right. They'd said that the two biggest transfers were Diallo and I think Benrahma at West Ham, who they'd made permanent. So we'll be playing them next week. See from there. And then the only other one to mention is we finally managed to get rid of Marcus Rojo. I know he was always a favourite of yours.
Love big Marcus, and he's a 40-yard I'd say howitzers. I mean, shots that go nowhere near the goal. But weird. I never rated Marcus Rojo, to be honest with you. When a lot of people thought he was a decent centre back, I never really rated him. I just thought he was any moment away from a giant Rick. But he was a mad lad. Good for him.
He was mad. He was like became a bit of a cult character based around slide tackles, 40-yard shots, and burnt toast, didn't he?
I said this on the group. My favourite Rojo memory will be, and I looked up the game. It was Chelsea in 2019. Eric Bailly got injured. I think either for doing a 2-footer challenge or just after doing a 2-footer challenge. Didn't get sent off. Got injured. Went off the pitch. Rojo comes on. Literally 2 minutes later, does a 2-footer challenge of his own. That basically sums up Marcus Rojo.
Yeah, he was one of these players who just had a brief run of form just before contract renewal time, and it was under Jose. He actually had a pretty decent little stretch, I remember, and then got given a new 3-year contract, and then I saw that it said since his new contract he'd got in 2018, he's only managed 17 games for us.
Dear me.
No. In the same vein, we've had Phil Jones has been mentioned back this week as all he says he's nearly back to fitness. I always feel really sorry for Phil Jones. He's become this kind of comedy maligned figure, and I always say, look, if somebody's injured, what can he do? But again, he's one who had like a brief run of form, like when Ole first turned up and was given a new 5-year contract. He's still around, but it's not the first thing these things happen. I remember Anderson when under Fergie as well, he was always this kind of in and out player. Is he okay? And then again, remember he had this great run of form one season and was given a 5-year contract and then played about 10 games over that 5 years.
He was a mascot though, Anderson, wasn't he? We needed him in the dressing room.
Well, they said, he was always there. And Phil Jones, he always has that, it's only him and De Gea who are the connections to us last time was winning the Premier League. So, these kind of things can still be important around the dressing room, to have players who've been there, done that, even if they're not on the pitch. You're hoping he's in there maybe making some kind of difference. Whether it is or not, I don't know, but maybe I'm clutching at straws there.
I actually agree. I do feel sorry for Jonesy. He was a very talented player. He had a lot of hype, and then his body just can't do what he wants it to do, basically, and just fails him. And if you're living your dream as a professional footballer and you can't play football, it's got to be very difficult mentally. So I do feel sorry for him.
Definitely, and I think some people forget how good he was as a youngster. He was actually one of my favourite players when he first came through. And I remember as well, like, Fabio Capello talking him up for England. Fergie, people always say, oh, Fergie said he could be the greatest ever, and, what a joke. But yeah, who knows if it wasn't for injuries? Probably it was like a bit OTT quote, but still, like I said, he was an outstanding teenager, one of the best talents for his age at the time. But yeah, it's just totally never progressed due to one injury after another, unfortunately. But yeah, he's still around. And yeah, Romero as well somehow didn't manage to leave in this window. I don't know what kind of limbo he's in. As far as I understand, he's not training. I don't know whether we're still paying him.
Argentinian window still open for a few more days, or is it off completely? It's weird when Romero, because we're basically just paying him to do nothing when we could easily get him a free transfer and just not be paying him at all. So it's weird.
Well, that was the thing. He was actually supposed to go to Everton. So that's my kind of link into a quick chat about the weekend's game against Everton.
Oh, good segue, Nick. That's why Nick's the host, you see, everybody.
Exactly. I think I got some good plaudits for my segue last week from talking about Diallo's big balls to take a Panenka penalty to then going into Manscaped for the thing. But yeah, this week we're on going for Everton. But yeah, look, they're in and around that kind of top 4 race still. I mean, you'd kind of expect they won't be in it at the end, but yeah, they've got one of the best managers in the league for sure. They've actually bought in Josh King, and again, yeah, you might have missed it. There's a few. They bought in Josh King at the last minute of the transfer window, so he's over there and gives them another option. Because I think after Calvert-Lewin, they were really struggling, and when he was injured, they were playing like Sigurdsson up front or something like that.
Well, they've still got Cenk Tosun, haven't they, who just doesn't score goals. So
yeah, they might have got rid of him actually.
I'm not
sure. Maybe, I'm not sure. I might be wrong on that. But yeah, like I said, he didn't trust him at all, because I saw when Calvert-Lewin was out, he was preferring to play Sigurdsson up front, or even Richarlison is around. But look, Everton for me will not be easy. You can't, Ancelotti team is never going to be easy, and they've got a lot of good players. But yeah, these are the games we need to be winning. Where a year ago you might say, oh, you'd be all right with a draw, but that's the game you need to win if you say we want to be in the title race, right?
Yeah, I mean, last season we drew 1-1. That was the game where they got a goal because Calvert-Lewin elbowed De Gea in the face from a corner. But then we did well to beat them. We beat them twice already this season, haven't we? Winning the cup and winning the league.
Yeah. Cavani scored that quality goal in the cup game.
Yeah, and then they're playing Leeds after we record this, so we don't know how they've done there. But they lost against Newcastle surprisingly on the weekend, and just a weird poor game from them. But you'll expect them to be solid, but it's like you said, it's a game we really should be winning if we want to solidify our standing in the league. As I said, this is as good a preparation as you can get for it. A 9-0 boost confidence for the whole team. Actually, do you bring Pogba back in? If you do, who for? Do you go with the same team? It's an interesting one for Ole, because I think
Pogba comes back in for me
for who,
just for freshness, just for the sake of freshness, and I think. Probably he'll come back in for me and play like wide right, which I don't even like saying, but it kind of becomes just
but then is it not a bit that is what I'm getting, like then we start shoehorning, and then I don't know, but I definitely don't want to see him left and Marcus right.
No, that for me that has to stop. Marcus Rashford should just be left on the left hand side,
although he did put in a great cross from the right, but I feel like that's when I feel like he plays better on the right when he's not playing on the right, if that makes sense. When he kind of drifts over there on his own volition, that's when he seems to do better on the right.
Yeah, and I think that's more because he's just ended up out of surprise, and the defenders is not ready for him being there. But yeah, I think that kind of experiment has not worked out. He did have the odd good game there on the right-hand side, and I thought maybe he can adapt to it. But then I think after he's had a run of kind of 5 games there, it was more like 1 good game and 4 bad. So for me, Rashford needs to stay on the left, and shifting him around recently between striker, left, right has not done him any favours at all.
No.
And I just think, keep him left side. Cavani now starts up front. And then we still constantly have this issue on the right side, but Greenwood should get games over there, even though, he's not setting the world alight, but he's doing well enough. And then, if it has to be Pogba now and again, it's okay. It's, it's obviously nowhere near his best position, but I think he can play over there.
I wonder, actually, because now Martial scored 2 goals. I wonder if he'll come back in, which he might. And if that's the case, I really hope he doesn't go left. So I wonder if maybe he'll start Martial up front and Cavani wide right, which would be weird, but I wouldn't put it past Ole, to be honest with you.
No, I can't see. I could like, there was a brief time. Remember when Sanchez first came in that Mourinho tried Martial on the right. It didn't really work out, but he has been tried out there before. And all this goes back to not bringing in a right winger in the summer. I mean, Diallo keeps being mentioned, but yeah, for me, it's still too early to be talking about him. But yeah, it's still that constant issue basically, and it's the constant problem is who plays on the right hand side. And I'd say generally Greenwood is the best of options, but he obviously can't play every game, so there still has to be some other option for when he's rotated or needs a bit of a rest. So yeah, we'll see from that. But yeah, I'm sure we'll be back after that Everton game. As I say, this podcast wasn't that planned, but yeah, we had to do one. Joint record win anyway, 26 years since. 9-0 gets us back up there. Before we finish off today, do need to give a shout out to Manscaped, who have been sponsoring us and sorting us out. And yeah, thanks to our listeners, who've gone over there and used the code United Hour. But yeah, 20% off. Head over there, and I know you have been one of the ones who has been using their products, and yeah, have been like mighty impressed with the stuff, right?
It's very good, very, very good. Does exactly what you need it to. Really well made, and it's good to use something down there that's made for down there. If that makes sense. Like you feel comfortable using it, and all the rest of their products are really good quality too. So definitely give it a big thumbs up from me.
Yeah, well, it makes massive sense. That's actually why I said I've never actually even attempted to go in that area, because I'm like, I do not want to be messing around in what they call it below the belt grooming section. But they've made precision stuff with like lights and stuff like that to make sure it's not a problem. So go and check that out. And as I say, they do have other stuff as well, and that's why we're giving a shout out. Yeah, so more free stuff, please, Manscaped. But yeah, I think that's probably about us for now. As I say, manscaped.com, use the code United Hour. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Give us a review on iTunes. I'm just trying to, have I forgotten anything there?
Patreon. The guys did a great little Patreon exclusive, Nik and David, the other day. So yeah, that's the kind of content we're going to be looking to get out there on Patreon more regularly, twice a month. So yeah, get yourself signed up there. We're only asking for what, like £1? Is it?
Yeah, for £1 gets you signed up over there.
And we've got our little Discord match chat. If you're not to slight our Red Cafe overlords, but if you feel like the match day thread in there is a bit too much for you, get on the Discord, and then you can join us in our Discord match chat where we just make fun of Ed, basically.
Yeah, exactly. That is a slightly bizarre thing. It's actually, why we're putting out more episodes. We're really thankful for all like the great comments, been getting tons of kind of feedback. But yeah, as our listeners grow, it actually costs us more money in like bandwidth, hosting and stuff like that. So yeah, it is the kind of necessary evil, unfortunately. I would love to just put this stuff out for free and deal with it. But yeah, we have to unfortunately look at advertising or Patreon or something like that to keep us going. And yeah, thanks to those guys who are backing us on Patreon, and yeah, I hope the extra stuff we're putting out there does make a difference for you guys. Look, like I say, I think that's about it from us this week, and we will see you back after that Everton game.
Cheers.
Good night.